Could be a run out. Should be a run out of the bowler's end. He's a run out of the bowler's end. That is simply magnificent.
What a catch! Their first wicket in the ACL, and what a way to...
Well, good evening, everybody, wherever you're watching around the world. Welcome to the European Cricket Studio. My name is Vinny, Sandhu, and it's great to have your company here for our first week of shows on Facebook Live. So we hope you're having a good day wherever you've been around the world. We have shows at the moment on Mondays and Thursdays at this time. So it's 9 o'clock in Central Europe. It is 8 o'clock in London. It's midnight in India. So wherever you're watching around the world, it's fantastic to have your company. Now, you may know me as Mr. Maximo from the European Cricket League, but we've been doing these shows at the moment in the absence of any real cricket. It's a great chance for us to get together and to have a chat. And don't forget the European Cricket League. It is the Champions League of cricket in Europe. Now, don't forget to tune in at 9 p.m. Mondays and Thursdays. Monday is Michael McCann with his show, and Thursday is myself, and we're going to have a bit of fun, and we really want to get you involved in the chat tonight. So there is a way for you to join our broadcast tonight. So it's something a little bit different we're doing. So if you follow this link, which you see just below me here, it's very simple. It's tiny.cc/EC Studio. We are going to do a segment called 1 and 1, where you get to join me on camera in the virtual studio. You get to ask me a question, and I get to ask you a question. It can be about cricket. It can be about anything you like, but it's just a bit of fun we're having here in the European Cricket Studio. So it's great to have your company. Also tonight, we're going to talk about cricket in Corona times and what that might mean. And we're going to have Brian Mantle from the German Cricket Federation on the show to discuss some things that they've been talking about with respect to cricket returning and when it's safe to do so. Also, we're going to talk about some strange dismissals in cricket, and we're going to watch a bit of a video together, and we're going to explain one of the more unusual ways to get dismissed in cricket. But like I said, guys, you can do it now if you like, tiny.cc/EC Studio. And we'll be having some people on for some one-on-ones later in the show. All you need is a camera, phone, or a PC, and you can join me on the show. So isn't that fantastic? I hope we get to have a few of you on today. Now, speaking of the one-on-ones, why don't we start with a one-on-one straight off the bat, just to show you what it is all about. And so I've got my test dummy here. It is Yannick Bischoff, and welcome to the show, Yannick. It's great to have you here for a one-on-one with me in the studio. And where are you coming from at the moment, Yannick?
I'm still in Germany, back home, relaxing. Almost about to hit the weekend now. It's Thursday, so we have to work tomorrow, but then weekend ahead.
Well, I know depending on what the situation is with respect to what kind of lockdowns people are in, the days sometimes kind of merge together. So these one-on-ones, Yannick, they're designed to be very quick. So we're going to do plenty in the second half of the show. But do you have a question for me?
Yep. Cricket commentating or playing cricket? Oh,
that's a really good question. It's similar to a question that I asked Michael McCann on his show on Monday. For me, I think you always enjoy playing cricket. I think for me, playing is the ultimate. You can only do it for so long. And I'm very lucky that I've been able to kind of shift into the commentating space and the media space quite recently. And I'm enjoying it a lot. But it is kind of cool going to a cricket game and knowing you can't lose. Although I guess you can do a bad job.
Sure.
I guess, but so for me, I think playing cricket and is probably the ultimate way to experience the game. But what I do like also is the team atmosphere of commentating cricket, because it's not just the commentators, it's the crew, it's everyone that is helping produce the product, which is hopefully entertaining for everybody. So thanks for that question. That's your one question. Now, I've got to ask you a question back. Now, I know that
Correct.
you fancy yourself as a bit of a cricketer. And I know, like, we've just talked about partnerships. So if you could choose anyone in the world, living or dead,
Yep.
to have a partnership with, who would you choose and why?
Oh, no doubt, Kumar Sangakkara. He's just one of the best batsmen I've ever seen play cricket. So grew up watching him, and he's the one. I love playing out. I'd love to be playing out there with him.
I'm a big fan of Kumar Sangakkara, and he's an excellent wicketkeeper as well.
Absolutely.
Very, very, very talented player. So thanks for answering the questions. That's what it is. It's a one-on-one. So anyone can do it. All you have to do, follow the link down below. It's tiny.cc/EC Studio, and you can do it now. You can do it any point during the show, and we will have you on because this is all about interacting with you, our audience, and bring you into the show. Now, Yannick, before you go, do you know about the European cricket quiz at the moment?
I've actually heard of it, but tell me more about it.
Well, we do have this quiz, and it's going on. Starts tomorrow, actually, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So open 6 a.m. Friday. It closes 6 p.m. Sunday. That's Central European time. And all you have to do is go to www.ecn.cricket. You could win a fantastic pair of Painter cricket boots. And every week we're giving away a pair of these Painter cricket boots. And last week we did just that. And congratulations to Giles Jamieson, who's in the UK, who has won
Giles.
Those fantastic pair of cricket boots from Painter. And Painter, great supporters of the ECL and European cricket. So we thank them very much for donating the prize. And Yannick, do you know how many questions are in the quiz? It's very easy.
I think there should be, could be 6 questions. Is that right? 6
questions. So like 6 balls in an over, 6 multiple choice questions. That's all it is. All the answers as well, they are on the ecn.cricket website. So just go down there, answer the 6 questions. Make sure you do it by 6 p.m. on Sunday. It's open first thing tomorrow morning. And just between you and me and everyone else watching, there will be a question tonight.
Oh, really?
There will be some information in the show tonight,
Ooh.
which will be part of one of the questions in the European cricket quiz.
I'll be watching.
Congratulations to Giles. Yannick, make sure you enter the quiz for your chance to win. I'm not sure what your shoe size is, but I'm sure we can organise it for you. But for now, Yannick, thanks for joining me for one-on-one, my first ever one-on-one on the show tonight. And we hope to get plenty
Thanks
more
for having me.
before the show's up. So thank you, and I'll see you later.
Take care, Vinny. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much to Yannick Bischoff. And we now have another guest on the show. He is coming all the way again from Germany, and he is the CEO of the German Cricket Federation. He joined me in the commentary box last year, actually, for a guest stint and taught me a little bit about what's going on with cricket in Germany. But tonight, specifically, I've got some questions about the COVID crisis, and as we come out of these very strict lockdowns, what cricket might look like and when it might be able to begin. So please welcome the CEO of the German Cricket Federation, Mr. Brian Mantle. Good evening, Brian. Are you hearing me loud and clear, Brian? Okay, we seem to be having a few technical difficulties with Brian. I might just try one more time. Hello, Brian. Can you hear me? All right, we might have to come back to Brian a little bit later in the show, but hopefully we have some more luck with Brian. But he's got some very interesting things to say about the situation with coronavirus currently. But we might move on to another news segment that we're doing tonight, and that's called Crick-splaining. So Crick-splaining is basically me explaining a cricket rule for you. If you're new to the game, or even if you do play the game or have played it for a while, there's always these rules you might not particularly understand. And so tonight I've decided to Crick-splain this rule, and this is called hit wicket. Now, what hit wicket is, it's not when the wicket's necessarily hit over any time, but it's actually a form of dismissal. So the striker is out, hit wicket, and it's quite rare. It's if the bowler's or bowled the ball, and for some reason I've got a bat here, if they were somehow to hit their own wickets over, or if they were to fall onto their wickets or step on their wickets taking off for a run, then the batsman would be out hit wicket. Now, it's very rare that you see hit wickets in cricket, because normally you should be kind of as far enough away in front of the stumps to not risk hitting your own wickets over. But it can happen, especially sometimes when the ball's pitched short and gets up and perhaps forces the batsman back. And also sometimes you see it, like I said, when they take off for a run. So that's my Crick-splain for tonight, my Crick-splanation, and I hope you enjoyed it. And now we're going to move on to some of the more unusual cricket dismissals. So we actually have a video here which does tell us some of the more unusual cricket dismissals, and I'm going to talk you through it as well. This first one is an absolute doozy as well. This is a hit wicket right here. So you see that's Inzamam ul Haq from Pakistan. He tried to play a sweep shot and unfortunately stumbled back all the way onto his wickets. So that's a very, I suppose, embarrassing way to get out. But yeah, that was a very famous one, and there was a very famous bit of commentary as well on the BBC where they said he couldn't quite get his leg over. So it was poor Inzi just didn't have a very good day that day. Now this one's a good one as well. It's Kumar Sangakkara, and where's his bat? It's gone. It's and if you watch this on the replay, and of course no one knows what's really going on here. It's come out of his hands, it's gone up in the air, and then it's fallen on the wickets. Now this is an old one, and I actually think this one wasn't actually out, because I don't think anyone actually appealed. But if you look at this, the batsman leaves it. It seems very innocuous, and just knocks the bail off. And he looks around, looks very guilty as well. So this batsman should have been out hit wicket. But there's another rule in cricket, which is that unless you appeal, then it will not be given out by the umpire. Now this is another hit wicket. This is quite a brutal one. This is Kevin Peterson, who took a nasty blow on his helmet from Dwayne Bravo, I think it was the bowler, and the helmet knocked the wickets over. So even though it wasn't attached to him at the time, it was a part of his equipment. So that was a very unusual way to get hit wicket, an unusual method of an unusual dismissal. Now this one here seems like everything's fine. Just knocked it down to the fielder in the outfield, but what's going on here? Well, the wickets are down. And if you see here, yeah, the batsman almost behind the stumps played the shot, and when he took off, he knocked the bails over. Now, this one's not a hit wicket, but I love this one. This one is hit into the non-striker, bounces up and gets caught. So Andrew Symonds was not very happy about that dismissal. And Michael Clark at the other end, I think Simon says, "You owe me a beer" for that one. And it's perfectly legitimate if it bounces off one of the other batsmen or one of the umpires, as long as it's not lodged in their clothing or something like that, then it's perfectly legitimate. Watch this one, just gets hit very hard, just can't really do anything. It tries to get his leg out the way, bounced up to the only fielder. And the umpire just says, yeah, it's a bit unlucky, but you got to go. Now look at this one. Now this is always a very controversial one. The Mancad from Kapil Dev. Now, this always splits the cricket world, but I've got no problem with this kind of a Mancad where he's not even close to bowling. He doesn't even look like he's going to bowl. And if you're out at that stage, I'm sorry, I think that's your problem. It's not that hard to watch the ball come out of the bowler's hand. So that the Mancad's a form of run out. Now here's another one from an Australian game. Brett Lee, the bowler against India. And again, you see sometimes these hit wickets, they happen not so much in the shot, but when they take off for a run and they just push off, knocking a bail off. Now this one is a funny catch as well. It gets edged into the first slip's scon, as we'd say. That's hit him right on the crest of the England badge. Looks like Marcus Trescothic there. Have a look at this one on the replay, and it's alert work from the wicketkeeper as well. You've got to have good reflexes if you're behind the stumps. You see this one flies away. Doesn't really have any time to react. Straight through his hands, bounces off the top of his head, and great keeping to get it before he hit the ground. Here's another unusual dismissal. Now, this one is a bit strange. It's actually given out LBW. Now, you must know if you play cricket that LBW stands for leg before wicket. But this one doesn't even hit his leg. In fact, it doesn't have to hit the batsman's leg. It can hit any part of their body. So this is Sachin Tendulkar, who is a wonderful batsman for India. And so short ball doesn't bounce as much as he thought. He ducks, but hits him on the shoulder almost, or the top of the forearm, or the top of the tricep. And the umpire thinking that was going to hit the wickets. Here's another one here. And this is another funny one where, like, talk about a poker face. This is Geoff Lawson in the early 80s in Australia. And again, the wickets have been put down. So the question the West Indians are asking is, has he hit his own wickets over there? Has he out hit wicket? And he's just acting like it's all good. And I actually have no idea why this wasn't given out, because watch this. Kind of goes, he's pushed all the way back. He knocks see the bail come off there. And of course, maybe they didn't notice straight away, but then you see, looks like Gus Logie there saying, hey, I think he's out. But then no one seemed to be bothered. So maybe Geoff Lawson would have liked to have been out because it was pretty scary batting against those guys back then. And this is actually in the same innings. He does exactly the same thing again. He steps on his wickets. And this is before the days of the video umpire. The West Indians are going, well, how did that happen? It can't be that windy. And sure enough, he's pushed back here, knocks his wickets over. There you go, steps on the stumps. Should be out. And yeah, apparently he survived again. This is another bit of a funny one here. This is a slow, and the batsman just didn't see it. He said, where did that come from? And this can happen sometimes, whether it's lost somewhere in the background, or you're just deceived so much that just the ball doesn't come out where you think it's coming out. So everyone's having a bit of a chuckle about this one. I think this is a slower ball. So sometimes if you don't pick up that it's a slower ball straight away, it can kind of appear like it's coming very, very high. So you see the reaction from the batsman is just, oh no, thinks it's going to hit him, but it doesn't. It dips and it takes the stump. So it's a bit unusual. Hopefully we're going to get Brian Mantle back soon. He's standing by there, Brian? And so we've seen some pretty unusual ones. This is another way to get out that's even more unusual than hit wicket. And it's actually handled the ball. So handled the ball is where, yeah, just as you hear, like when you deliberately take your hand off the bat and interfere with the ball if it's going back onto the wickets. Now, he would have been allowed to hit the ball away again. That's the only circumstance you can hit the ball a second time if you're protecting your wickets. And you're not allowed to try and score runs if you do that. And look, he looks pretty guilty. That's Mahinda Amarnath of India. And that was my unusual dismissals. That is one of our topics for tonight. And we hope you enjoyed those. I always like watching those kind of videos, and we'll be trying to do those every week. So if you have anything you'd like to see us do, anything you'd like to cover, then I think that we could cover that in the show, and you can get involved. So if you'd like to be part of the EC Studio tonight, just a reminder, what you're looking at right there, go to that link, and you can do it right now. It's tiny.cc/EC Studio, and you can join me for a one-on-one chat. Just ask me a question, and I'll ask you one back. So it's great to see some comments coming in as well. We've got Anuj saying he wants to see Pavel bowling, which is great. I think we all love to see Pavel bowling. We're actually trying to set something up at the moment, but we're just working on the practicalities of perhaps a Pavel bowling challenge, which I think is something that could be pretty cool to watch at the moment. And also, Anuj Dubey says, my most feared fast bowler to date. Well, there's a few of them. I think any of those West Indians you saw there, they were about 4 in that team. They were all incredible bowlers. So I think we've sorted out our technical difficulties now. So as it'll be great to hear from you. We could see him before, but we're going to be in Brian from German Cricket Federation to tell us a little bit about what's going on at the moment with cricket in Germany and cricket post-COVID. Hello, Brian.
Yeah, hi, Vinny. I don't know what happened there.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, we've got you back, and yeah, no problem. We just move things around a little bit, and it's great to see you. And of course, you're the CEO of the German Cricket Federation. I met you at European Cricket League last year, and we had a bit of time together in the commentary box, and you were filling me in on cricket in Germany. But I want to ask you tonight specifically about the current coronavirus crisis. First up, and as we move towards perhaps seeing some cricket, but it might not be exactly like the cricket that we're used to, and there might be some almost special rules that we need to incorporate into the game. So can you tell us a little bit about the meetings you've had and perhaps some of the regulations we're going to see in cricket this year?
Yeah, well, the first thing to say is I'm not an expert on this virus like probably 99% of us, but I've learned a lot over the last few weeks. So we've had discussions with the sports authorities here in Germany, and also with the ICC, and also some of our other European federations about the challenges that we've got just to be able to train and maybe in a few weeks to actually play cricket. And in Germany, there are regulations for all sports around social distancing, for example, not being within a certain amount of meters between every player, disinfecting the equipment and things like this. Maybe the best way to start is to give an example of tennis, which is obviously a standard sport here. Tennis is allowed, but you're not allowed to play doubles at the moment. And each player has to serve with their own tennis balls. So that the ball doesn't go into the hands of both players. And of course, in cricket, we were trying to convince the sports authorities here that it's a sport without contact. But when you actually think about it, there's a lot of contact within cricket. So we've had to come up with some special rules just to be able to train, and then hopefully from the middle of June to actually play. And we looked into where the virus could be dangerous on the cricket field, and it's in places that you probably wouldn't think. The most dangerous thing is actually the helmet, and the fact that in most cricket clubs and most cricket teams, people share helmets. So one person bats for half an hour, of course, in nice weather, sweats and spits into the grill, comes off, takes off the helmet, and the next batsman puts it on and comes out to bat. And of course, with the spit that goes into the grill on the helmet, that is very, very dangerous for contracting the virus. So we've said that the helmet has to be disinfected before each person uses it, and you have to wear something underneath the helmet itself. So a cap is probably the best thing, so that you don't sweat directly onto the helmet, even though sweat is actually not dangerous for the virus. It doesn't carry the virus. You can't transmit it through sweat. Apparently, as I said, I'm not an expert, but that's what I've been told.
But I mean, we're all still learning, aren't we? We're all still learning. There seems to be new information all the time about the virus, so it's good to know you've got some of the more up-to-date information, and you can always trust the Germans when it comes to these kind of matters. I think I think you've got some good information there. But you're saying we're very lucky. We're very lucky in Germany in that the government has really done a very good job in controlling the virus. The level of infection and deaths is very low compared to other European countries. So we're lucky in that respect. Our disadvantage. What about things like, pardon me, Brian, but just while we're on equipment, what about things like pads, gloves that are often shared, bats, I suppose, as well, you can put in there? Are there any other, apart from helmets, are there any other regulations you're thinking of introducing? Well, they all have to be disinfected. The reality is that pads, because it's only generally going to be sweat that's transmitted onto the pads, that it's not really that dangerous. But to be able to play, we've had to bring in rules that are a little bit strange. And of course, Germans generally, and German officials and German politicians and sports experts don't know much about cricket. So we've had to bring in things that will maybe look good on paper, but in reality won't have a big impact.
So disinfecting pads probably doesn't have a big impact on the transmission of the virus, but it looks good in all of our documents to allow the authorities to play, for us to play cricket. Obviously, a big issue is the ball. And of course, everybody who plays cricket knows the best way to make a ball swing is to shine one side and to use spit on the ball, or sweat, but specifically spit.
Which a lot of people think is pretty disgusting, and we seem to accept it in cricket.
It is.
But there's no other walk of life where, I mean, I wouldn't lick an apple and throw it to the guy at lunch, but we don't seem to worry about it at cricket. But you're right, with coronavirus, that's a very obvious way that the virus can be transmitted, because it can live on surfaces for quite a while. So how are you going to manage this with balls and things like training and people obviously can't change balls. You can't have 11 different balls on the field for 11 different fielders. So how are we going to manage that?
Well, as long as you don't spit on the ball, it's not that dangerous. But there is a risk, of course, that if I've got the ball in my hand, it comes into contact with me. I've got the virus, and I'm at cover. You're the bowler. I throw the ball to you. You touch the ball. You touch your hair. You touch your eyes, and suddenly you've got corona. So we have to be careful. We've said that the umpires should disinfect the ball at the end of every over. We will find out when we get playing how practical that is and the impact that will have on a ball. So we take a cloth with some disinfectant and rub the ball. Maybe that will help the ball to keep its condition and to shine. We don't know. But the key is of course washing your hands. And washing your hands at regular intervals. So one of the things, it's not in our regulations, but one of the things we're thinking about is that every time a wicket falls, where usually the fielders come on with a bottle of water, they come on with the disinfectant.
With a hand sanitizer. Well, there you go. This is amazing. I just don't get them mixed up, because there's a lot of alcohol in these hands. That's something I never even thought of that, but it's true. But then, and I've even heard certain radical ideas, such as allowing certain things like to put sunscreen on the ball and stuff, because you're not allowed to use saliva. And I've heard of a few things that people in cricket are kind of musing about, perhaps how things will change. So that's quite incredible.
Don't get your hopes up, Vinny. Don't get your hopes up. Sandpaper is still not allowed.
Well, that's absolutely out of the question. But you don't know that yet. Maybe we're just ahead of our time here with our test team with the sandpaper. Maybe sandpaper will be allowed from whenever cricket gets started again. And so, with respect to the timeline of where we're at the moment, when do you expect we'll see some cricket in Germany?
We don't know. Our target at the moment, and it is only a target, is the middle of June. And that seems realistic as things are. Now, there's this so-called R rate, which is the rate of infection. It has to stay significantly below 1 in order for the relaxation of the lockdown to actually stay and for the next step to be achieved. At the moment, it's all looking very, very positive in Germany. We hope that in 2-3 weeks there will be another decision by the government and it will allow competitive sport. At the moment, it's allowed to train in groups of up to 5 people in one location. There should be no contact, no physical contact between these people. In the nets, for example, each bowler has to have their own ball with their name on it, and not share balls between each other. And of course, there's no contact. It's a bowler bowling against the batsman. Fielding training is very complicated for obvious reasons. Sure. We're looking to get out there. There's one thing I forgot to say about the regulations, and that, of course, is the distance between players. In Germany, it's 1.5 meters. I know in other countries, in the UK, for example, it's 2 meters, but it's 1.5 meters.
Yes.
And if there is a slow bowler, it's obviously normal that the wicketkeeper stands up to the stumps.
Sure.
And then the distance, and you'll know this as a wicketkeeper yourself, the
That's
distance
true.
between you and the batsman is not 1.5 meters. So we've had to put a regulation in place only on a temporary basis that the wicketkeeper cannot stand up and has to stand 2 meters behind the stumps, which means
2 meters behind the
2 meters.
Stumps. You're ruining our fun. Wicketkeepers. We're not going to stump anyone from back there.
Anything to make it easier for the batsman.
Wow. So I mean that makes perfect sense, though. If obviously when you're moving around, it's not as easy to keep this buffer. So I suppose you have to make the distance bigger for dynamic.
That's the point.
Dynamic
That's the point.
players that can move around. Wow, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, the regulations for joggers, I think, is 10 meters. So not this 1.5 meters, but 10 meters, because you're moving around and moving into the airspace of somebody who might have the virus. So we've said for the fielders a distance of 5 meters between each other, which means slip fielders is not allowed.
That's a lot of places I can dive as a wicket keeper. I've got all that room. I can take all these big catches. But 5 meters is a long way. Slips are out, I think.
Slips are out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could maybe have a third slip, and that would be fine. But then no second slip and no first slip.
What about things like umpires, for example? Because if the umpire's at the bowler's end, is the bowler? How's he meant to get around him? Is he have to run in sideways, or what are we going to do there?
Where the umpire at the bowler's end has to stand about 3 meters behind the stumps. Of course, the bowler is going to go past, but it's a very, very short time that he's going to be doing that. The square leg umpire is also an issue, because it's typical that the fielders or one fielder will stand at square leg and will be chatting to the square leg umpire. That's also not possible.
Yeah.
And how this will work in practice and how long we will have to do that, we don't know. It's all new ideas for us and a new situation. Obviously, the fact that we can't play cricket is very frustrating, but it's actually quite interesting, this new cricket that we're having to develop.
Yeah, it's unprecedented, really, isn't it? We never would have pictured this time last year when we were just getting ready for the first European Cricket League, and we're really excited about the direction the game was going. And this is a bit of a setback. Of course, it affects a lot more than cricket. But we have a comment here from Andrew Scott, who's telling us that in Belgium you can train with 20 people as long as one of them is a coach. Now, of course, in different countries there's different situations, different regulations. Also, we had a comment from Naveen Ramakrishna, says, you're missing out all the fun. Well, what I would say, Naveen, is that I would rather still play cricket and have to wicket keep 2 meters back from the stumps than not be out there at all. So we all know how important it is to try and control the spread of the virus and to keep everyone safe, as many people safe as possible. And I think it's not really a binary issue, is it, Brian? Because you can never eliminate all risk of transmission. You can't eliminate, you can't get it down to zero. Sometimes people say, oh, well, what about this or what about this? But it's all about taking measures to just reduce the degrees that or increase the difficulty for the virus to be transmitted. So I'm sure that's what all these regulations and kind of radical ideas are all about, just trying to mitigate the risks rather than eliminate the risks.
Yeah, I think we're well aware that sport is not the most important thing in the world, especially at the moment. The Germans say about football that football is the most important, non-important thing in the world. And of course, if you're a cricket fan, that's the way it is. You know, it's not one of the most important things, but it's the most important thing in our lives that is not important, if that makes sense.
It's very well put.
So everybody's desperate to get back out on the cricket field. And it really is a question, you know, in Germany, which has a very small cricket culture, and most Germans and the decision makers don't have much knowledge about our sport. It's accept these rules or not play. On the other hand, we've said to our clubs and to our players is, you know, these are the rules that are there. We want to play cricket because we think cricket is a way to increase people's, you know, physical health, but also their mental health, and to give them some joy in their life. And we're all missing it like crazy. But you don't have to, you know, it's your decision. You know, if I could imagine people who've got 3 or 4 kids at home and they're the only earners in the in the family, that they maybe say, I'm not going to take that risk. It's everybody's decision. And we will only play. And we've made that statement very, very clear as well. We will only play if it's safe to do so, and if it's allowed to do so. But that said, I mean, when we go to the cricket ground for the first time, and that first cover drive through the outfield that goes to the boundary, or the first wicket, it'll be wonderful.
It'll be like nothing else, won't it? When we finally get to see things we've really taken for granted, basically, across many years and decades and centuries, really, with cricket. So we're really excited about managing our way through this period, and obviously we're planning things like the European Dream 11 European Cricket Series, which is another opportunity for cricket in Europe later in the season, if it's possible, as you say, if it's safe to do so. Now, if we can just get away from the virus for a second, if that's possible, tell us a little bit about what it's like developing cricket in really a country where it's not that well known, where not many native Germans would know much about the game at all. They might have some misperceptions about the game. So how do you try and grow cricket in Germany currently?
Well, it's different stages. I mean, when I came to Germany 24 years ago, it was just a game for people who came from cricket playing countries. So I played in a team full of Sri Lankans and Indians and Pakistanis, and we just played cricket with one another. About 3 or 4 years ago, we had a big influx of refugees. 180,000 Afghans arrived in Germany, of which half of them seemed to be cricket players. So we saw a big growth there. Now we're focusing on other things. We're focusing on growing women's cricket, on getting more kids playing cricket. And by kids, we're obviously second generation Indians, Pakistanis, English, Australians, but also German kids. We want to get more native Germans playing cricket. And that's a tough job, because obviously there's a lot of choice here. Football is king, but my children both play handball, which is a sport that's not well known in the UK, for example, but very big here. So there's handball, there's basketball, there's volleyball, there's all of these sports, and cricket is coming in from nowhere. So we look at what cricket offers. Obviously, cricket is a multicultural experience, and a lot of people like that. You can meet people with different languages, different religions, and learn a lot about yourself and about the world. It's generally something that takes place in English, and of course, a lot of children want to learn the English language, and it's an opportunity in their free time to communicate with people in the English language. Sure. And cricket has also got this quirky reputation in Germany as being a little bit different, exotic. They talk about tea time, or they show pictures of the IPL with 50,000 Indians going crazy in the stadium when somebody hits a six. It's got this strange reputation, and a lot of Germans are looking for something which is not football or basketball. They're looking for something which is unusual. So we're focusing a lot now, or we will do as soon as Corona finishes, on schools, on youth leagues, on women's cricket. We've got lots of ideas to get women involved in cricket, and we've been pretty successul, but there's a long way to go. So it's like a mission, It's
baby steps, isn't it? It's not going to happen overnight, but nothing does really, does it? So I think, I'm sure I've seen firsthand the impact that you've had on German cricket. I've actually watched some local games in Germany, enjoyed them immensely, and I think it's fantastic what you're doing there. And of course, you'll be represented perhaps by Darmstadt in next year's European Cricket League. We will see. That depends on if there's any cricket this year. Now, Brian, before you go, and I'm so sorry we're running out of time here, but we actually need your help with something. I didn't tell you about this, but we do have the quiz coming up the weekend, and we do this segment called Random Household Object, where I ask my guest to find a random household object from somewhere in his house. Now, you can leave the phone there and wander away for 30 or 60 seconds or whatever, but can you just come and bring something back and show it to us, please? It can be anything you like. Now,
give me a second.
Yeah, you can. I'll give you 30, no problem. Now, while Brian's doing that, after Brian goes, I'd love to have a chat with some of you guys that are watching right now. All you have to do on your phone or your computer, just go to that link there. It's tiny.cc/EC Studio, and you can be where Brian is right now in the studio, in the virtual studio with me. You can ask me a question. I'll ask you a question. We can just have a chat. And I'd love to get a couple of one-on-ones done today, just to show you how it's done. No matter where you are in the world, if you've been on the show before, if it's your first time watching, if you've just stumbled upon this and maybe you don't know anything about cricket, then if you want to get your face on the camera, this gets watched a fair bit as well after we post it. So if you want to get your face out there, then make sure you just go to tiny.cc/EC Studio to join me for a one-on-one. Welcome back, Brian. What have you got for us?
Well, it's not easy to get a household object because I'm in my wife's office. My wife's working from home at the moment.
Okay.
This used to be my office. This used to be the head office of the DCB, but now we've got a proper office.
Is that right?
And on my bookshelves, I collect cricket autobiographies. And I was but the problem is my wife has sorted out the shelves, so I couldn't get the one I was looking for. So I got Kevin Peterson's autobiography.
Hello. Let's get a good look at that.
Yeah.
There you go, KP, controversial figure, very talented batsman.
I wanted to get Ian Botham's autobiography because Ian Botham is the most interesting person that's ever played the game, certainly in my lifetime, not just because of his cricketing exploits, but also, what he's done off the field with his charity work. And he's a guy who lives life absolutely to the full.
Definitely.
This was the only cricket one I could get. I don't like Kevin Peterson very much, but
it's a pretty good photo of him, isn't it? It's very blue steel, very Derek Zoolander. Yeah. I reckon you could possibly pass for Kevin Peterson's dad or something. I think, Brian. What do you think? Yeah, maybe younger than me. That's what I meant. You could pass for Kevin Peterson's younger brother, Brian. I think you're looking fantastic. Anyway, look, Brian, it's been great to have you on this show. We'd love to have you back again. Thanks for telling us all about cricket in the COVID-19 crisis and a little bit about what's going on in German cricket at the moment. So thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, and keep up the good work. It's great stuff that you're doing.
Thanks very much, Brian. That's fantastic to have you. So that was Brian Mantle, ladies and gentlemen, and he was telling us lots of stuff that I didn't think I'd ever see in a cricket field my whole life. Wicket keeping 2 meters behind the stumps. And it's getting me thinking now, like, what about, okay, can you run somebody out? Because normally when you run somebody out, they're running past you and they're definitely closer than 3 meters. Can you go to the stumps to collect the ball? I mean, I'm sure some common sense will prevail in this. And like we were talking about, we're just trying to mitigate the risks. We're not necessarily trying to, we know we can't eliminate the risks altogether, but it's about that finding the acceptable balance so we can get some cricket played. And I know there's so many cricketers around Europe and all around the world that want to get out there. Let me have a look at a few comments here. We had Andrew Scott saying, very nice interview. Brian, thanks to you and Tiny. I think that's an autocorrect, although that could be a new nickname for me, Tiny. It'd be a little bit ironic. But also, normally my name autocorrects to Bunny, actually. But nice to have you, Andrew. I think you said you're coming from Belgium. Of course, Belgium are represented by the Ostend Exiles. They were meant to be actually in ECL 20, so there's a very good chance we'll be seeing them next year. We had some news during the week that club cricket in Scotland will be called off this year, which means that Forfarshire, the champions of 2019, will be the representatives in the European Cricket League 21. We had Michael Leask on the show a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it's been an interesting show so far. After our early technical difficulties. So we had a couple more comments I'm just going to highlight that Pierce Fletcher respectfully disagrees. Well, I assume it's respectful from Pierce, who is I think he's in New Zealand at the moment. He said, can't agree with Brian on this. You can't change the principles of the game regardless of Corona. So that's a perfectly acceptable opinion, Pierce. But you wonder if the authorities didn't make these subtle changes that they may not be able to play cricket at all. So it's that whole thing about, would you rather play a game which is slightly compromised or not be able to play at all? I do think it creates some really interesting situations, such as training, where you can't share balls. So you're meant to have one ball with your name on it. Number one, I don't know how you're meant to write, maybe in a permanent marker or something like that. But I'm just trying to picture if I was out a fair distance away from the nets, and then, as happens sometimes, the batsman will hit one, it'll roll past me. Now, normally I would do the right thing and I would go pick up the ball and I would underarm it back to the bowler. But I guess what Brian's saying now is that when you're training, you got to have your own ball. No one's allowed to touch it. But I would be pretty annoyed if I was that bowler and I got whacked out of the net and just watched people just lifting their leg and saying I'm not going to get the ball, or the ball's right next to someone and they're not going to give it back to me. I'd be a little bit annoyed with that. So how would you feel if there were these regulations in your training? I do think things like the helmets obviously making sense to try and disinfect stuff as much as possible. I think the hand sanitizer is also probably a good idea. But yeah, it's just something that we never thought we'd see. So so it's still open for a few more minutes. If anybody wants to join the link below, it's tiny.cc/EC Studio. And you can come on the show with me right now. Otherwise, you're going to get me talking at you for a few more minutes, and I'm happy to do that. But if you'd like to ask anything at all, whether it's about cricket, whether it's about anything else, maybe you could leave in the comments, or you could do a one-on-one with me about your weirdest dismissals. I can tell you my strangest way I've ever been out. I can kind of do it here. I was batting, and a ball came up at me like this, and actually came off this bit of the bat. This is a very small bat, but it actually came off this bit of the bat, and I got caught. So that was a very unusual way to get out. Yeah, just like this, and just perfectly like a pool cue. It went straight to a close infielder. So that summed up how my day went. I've also occasionally been run out, which is really annoying when I'm at the non-striker's end, and my partner's hit one straight, and it's just flicked the bowler's fingers and hit the wickets. Normally it's when you're batting really well and don't look like getting out, something like that might happen. Of course, if the batsman was to hit it and it just hit the wickets before anyone touched it, well, then you can't be run out, because it has to be touched by a fielder if you're going to be run out. So that is something that happens occasionally in cricket as well. So probably my most unusual wicket when I was bowling may be that I did actually get one person out, hit wicket once, and this is probably could be the only time, because I don't bowl that much anymore. But it was a short ball, and it hit him in the helmet. Luckily, he was wearing a helmet actually, but his bat came down on the wickets because it just pushed him back. So so that was a bit of an unusual way to get a wicket, and I kind of felt like, I hit someone in the helmet and got a wicket on the same ball. So that was pretty interesting. So we've got someone now to join me for a one-on-one, and I love this guy. It is player of the tournament from the 2019 ECL, Max O'Dowd. Max, how are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Now, are you in New Zealand by any chance?
I am currently still in lockdown, unfortunately. So enjoying the lockdown as much as I can. Yeah,
well, I think it'd be 8:15. You look great. You don't look like you've been out all night or anything, Max. So, look, it's great to have you on the show. Now, this one-on-one segment is designed so that you can ask me a question, I can ask you a question back. Is there anything particular you want to ask?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, I was sitting there and a highlight popped up, and I saw, I didn't see, I heard it from a distance, and it just kept ringing and ringing. Maximo. Now, where did that come from?
Oh, good question. Well, it came from, I wanted to put something, I knew it was a different kind of a tournament. So I wanted to bring something different to the game. I think that if you had to say what the ECL is all about, it's a different twist on cricket with the shorter format, with the amateur clubs qualifying. So you actually got teams that are homegrown that have played together and qualified together. They're kind of different concepts. So I thought the Maximo was kind of a cool way. I was hoping it would kind of stick, so that that's what we'd call a six, and because it was in Spanish, and it's what it means. It means maximum, and as you know, you hit plenty of them, Max, and you became Maximo O'Dowd, didn't you?
Yeah, I tried. It worked out well. I liked it.
Well, okay. Thanks for that question. I've got one for you, Max.
Okay.
Do you think Scott Edwards robbed you of 100 in the final by hogging the strike?
I mean, it's pretty clear to see, isn't it? Obviously.
I
was on fire. I mean, I was on 75 off 25 balls, and there was, he's just scored 100, and there's one ball left in the over. And I'm thinking, all right, just try and hit this for 6 or do something so I can get the strike in the last over. And he took a single, and I think that was the only single. Mate, we'd had 4 overs of just boundaries, and then all of a sudden there was a single last ball of the second to last over, and I was thinking this doesn't seem right. But fair play to him. He almost hit 6 sixes that last over, so you got to give it to him.
He? And some of them were really big. The way he skillfully used the breeze and managed the crease to almost. He told a lot of the other players from other teams that he just exclusively practiced sweeping quite a lot of the time, and really perfected that shot. It was pretty useful, wasn't it?
He's a very good sweeper, yeah, for sure. And I mean, he needs to use the breeze. He's a small dude, so he was smart at the way he played it.
I thought he might blow away in the final. It was quite a windy day. Wasn't
exactly.
It?
I'm surprised he wasn't up in the Van Eerschot's mansion up on the hill there.
Of course, yeah. If you're new to the ECL, you might not know that in the final, Max and Scott Edwards from VOC Rotterdam put on 222 for no loss in their 10 overs. I think I remarked that most of the other batsmen were in the pool just watching it on TV because they weren't going to be required. But anyway, Max, look, thanks for joining us for a 1-on-1, and we'd love to see you again. Come anytime and join the broadcast, and we'd love to have you on as our featured guest. I'm sure over the next few weeks. So have a great day. Stay safe there in New Zealand, and I'll catch you soon.
Thanks, mate. Good to hear from you. Likewise.
It was Max O'Dowd, and we've got another 1-on-1 coming in now from the UK, I think. We've got Annie Chave. Hello, Annie.
Hello, Vinny. It's nice to speak to you.
It's nice to speak to you.
Yeah, I've been watching the whole show, but my reception has been pretty bad, so I've been going in and out. So I've been trying to get on for ages, but hey, yeah, I made it just about in time.
I'm happy you've made it just in time. We've got a few minutes left in the broadcast. Now, I've learnt actually a little bit about the UK internet quality because I've been watching them play darts at their houses, the professional darts players, and all that I get out of that is your internet is awful. It's just like grainy, and I think it depends where you go, but at least it's some sort of live sport. And again, that's a real innovative way to do that, isn't it? Rather than we're used to the darts in the big, kind of big theatre of all the girls coming out with the cards and the crowd going. But it's a bit of a different game when it's just a couple of middle-aged guys just shooting them.
Usually, isn't it? Yeah. Funny you should say that because we've been playing darts in our garden in lockdown, so it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed that. So darts is a good game. It is
a good game. No arguments there. Okay, Annie, we're running out of time, so I'll ask you: do you have a question for me?
Well, not really. Sorry.
That was my question.
The other guy was talking about the book he was reading, and I was interested because I've been reading this one, which is
Robin Smith.
Have you read it?
I haven't read the Robin Smith book. I heard he's quite the character. I know that he's actually played in Perth a fair bit with his brother. I think his brother Chris. Tell me if I'm correct there. And so I may have even perhaps played against Chris. Maybe when Chris was a bit older, potentially. But I definitely played against the club that he played for here in Perth. So that's a good read. You could ask me what my favourite cricket book is what you could ask me. I mean, or
what is your favourite cricket book?
Thanks for asking, Annie. That's really look. You'll like this one actually. I love wicketkeeper autobiographies because I think sometimes only wicketkeepers understand other wicketkeepers. And I love the Adam Gilchrist one. I thought that was pretty good. And actually, when I used to be playing cricket, I used to read them in the change rooms while the batsmen were doing their thing because I didn't bat in the top 6 because I was a bit of an old-fashioned wicketkeeper. So they would do their thing, and I can't remember what the Adam Gilchrist one's called, but it's very good. It was quite big as well. The Ian Healy one, I just couldn't get through it. The guys said, they said, you've been reading that book for 6 weeks. They said it must be a real page turner. I'm like, yeah, it's just not grabbing me. But Ian Healy was probably one of the best wicketkeepers of all time. But my favourite book is Jack Russell Unleashed, the Jack Russell autobiography.
Jack, yeah, I love Jack.
He just did some amazing things, and mucho respecto for Jack, and I loved it. He's very unusual with some of his eccentricities, and I love that because I'm a little bit like that myself. It might be obvious if you've watched me for any extended period of time. But one of my favorite ones about Jack Russell is that he used to drink tea in the change rooms, and he would, you read this, right? In a test match, he would use the same tea bag for the whole game. So he would he had a little hook, and he would dip the tea bag in the tea, and then he would put that, say for luck or whatever, he would put the tea bag there. So, and he'd have 20 cups of tea a day. So that tea bag is getting 100. How are you getting 100 cups of tea out of a tea bag? It's absolutely ridiculous, really. But yeah.
Something 3 Weetabix, I think he said. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, he was very particular. But I love that, and we might actually do a whole show on unusual superstitions because there are so many out there, and every cricketer has something. And mine was always put my right pad on before my left, so I wasn't too bad. But some were ridiculous, like everyone all the toilet seats had to be down, or and all these things. But anyway, look, Annie, thanks for joining me for 1-on-1. We'd love to have you back on the show before too long, and join us anytime. So thanks for taking time to spend time in the European Cricket Studio. I'll see you later.
Bye bye.
And Max join us tonight, and of course anyone can, and you can ask us whatever you like, whether it's about cricket, whether it's not about cricket. It does not matter. It's all about getting you involved and giving you some entertainment in these times where we can use it. And just a reminder, tomorrow morning 6 a.m. the European Cricket quiz will open. All you have to do is go to www.ecn.cricket to enter, and you could win those fantastic shoes by Painter. Thank you for your support, Painter. You could be just like Giles from last week. You could be lucky enough to walk away with the prize. 6 questions, including the random household object. If you didn't catch that earlier, you just need to look back to the Brian component of tonight's show. And coming up, of course, Mondays and Thursdays at the moment, we have shows in European Cricket Studio live on Facebook. So obviously you probably follow our Facebook page. Don't forget also to follow our YouTube channel. That's ECN European Cricket. There's full games and also highlights from the European Cricket League last year. Also the Dream 11 European Cricket series. And hopefully we're going to see some of those soon. There's also plenty of content, highlights packages from the various tournaments that are going on in European cricket. So make sure you join or subscribe to our YouTube channel, the ECN European Cricket. Also, we have Instagram and Twitter at European Cricket if you're on those platforms. So don't forget to tune in Monday for This Is McCann. It's 9 o'clock in Central Europe at 7 o'clock p.m. GMT. It's midnight in India, and there's various times there. Michael McCann will bring you more entertainment from the studio. Of course, I'll be back next Thursday with my show with some more one-on-ones. So make sure you get involved. If you're watching this back, you're not watching it live, make sure that you watch these shows, if possible, when they're live. They're the most fun. You can comment, you can join us in the studio and become part of the show. So that was the Thursday show, and that wraps up the European Cricket Studio for the week. See you on Monday with Michael McCann. But from all of us in the European Cricket Studio for now, it's good night.